Purple Heart Homes presents Putting the Pieces Back Together, a forum for veterans and community members. Here are your hosts, veterans John Gallina and Devin Alexander.
Lucy, I'm home.
Yeah, home?
Well, yeah. I'm back.
Are you living here now? Are you sleeping on this couch?
Well, I mean, it feels that way some days.
You barely do go home. Your poor wife.
Well, probably keeps her happy. I'm not there causing problems.
That's true. And then she gets to have all of Chappie's love.
That's right. Because, Chappie's the best dog in the whole wide world. Right. Even if he is a bulldog resembling a Marine.
Wow, that's terrible. Oh, poor Chappie.
Speaking of Marines, I just learned what I've always the question about Devin and what's wrong.
Oh, and what's that?
The Marines did not teach you your left from your right.
I didn't say they didn't teach. So we were talking before the show. I sometimes can't remember what my left and my right is, despite the fact of having been in the Marine Corps. And I have to go, I pledge allegiance to the flag. And, you always put your right hand.
Your right hand over your heart.
Over your heart. So, all right, right hand, left hand. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of hard as a vet now. We can salute. And so which do you do? Do you choose to salute or do you choose to put your hand over your heart?
I typically, if I'm doing the pledge, I'll put my hand over my heart. But if the national anthem is playing, I go to the position of attention.
Yeah. And with that, I always think about the national anthem. I like feeling my heartbeat when I'm listening to the national anthem. It's just, there's something special about that. It makes it more real or more current and applicable for me.
I get that. Like you want to feel the moment and feel what it really stands for.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Man, we've had a busy couple of weeks here with we had Veterans Day.
A
lot of events with Veterans Day.
And don't forget the most ancient holiday of all.
What's that?
The Marine Corps birthday.
Oh, you had to bring that up.
I think I'm still recovering.
That's an ancient history.
Oh, my gosh. Ancient history.
Ancient history.
Oh, man.
I mean, what is it now? 249 years?
Well, that means we're going on the old 250, and so is the Army. Happy birthday to you.
I'm glad you got an older brother to look up to.
Oh, good Lord. Is this going to start? Oh, man.
It never stops.
So first it was the Army did come first, then the Navy, Marine Corps, and then was it the Air Force?
Well, technically the National Guard was first.
Oh, we're going to start that again.
Yes. You got to start at the very beginning, right?
I was really trying to lead into today's guest, who happens to be from the Air Force.
So we can't go to the Air Force. Let's go out to the wild blue yonder.
Oh my gosh! So today we have with us from Fox Mortgage. Is that right? Fox Mortgage.
The Fox Mortgage team. Yep.
The Fox Mortgage team. We have Michael and Amy and Michael Perron, and I said it right before the show, but I was able to read it off the screen. I don't have any screen to read.
Come on, you got this.
Von
Yoakum.
I'm not going to get it. You're going to have to help us out, Amy.
Vocom-Vos.
Vocom-Vos.
Yes.
Vocom-Vos.
This is my favorite
that was
part
so
of every
awesome
show.
how he just said it, though.
Him figure out how to pronounce it, and then turn it into radio voice.
Well, the funniest part is, too, she was just telling a story earlier as to why she didn't take my last name, how people just butcher it all the time, and he just went ahead and did it. So that's
it's what I do here. I'm a professional. We have a show here, and you're professionals as well. What exactly is your profession?
We're mortgage brokers.
Oh, yeah. And you have a particular specialty, if I'm not wrong.
We're licensed through Veterans Affairs to write every single VA loan that we can get a lender to write.
Wow.
That is fantastic. And so essentially you're helping veterans realize their dreams of homeownership.
Absolutely.
That's really cool. Yeah. That is really cool. How did you get into that profession? How did you get into writing mortgages?
I tripped and fell into a relationship with her, which also turned into working as a mortgage broker now.
Oh, okay.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I was
she's
able
an
to...
influencer.
She is an influencer, right? She influences everything I do. I promise.
That means something different these days.
I'm not even sure what it means, but I literally, he has a pretty large family, smaller children, and he was making a decent living doing what he was doing as a billboard operations manager since leaving the Air Force, and he needed a babysitter. No joke.
That's correct.
And when I saw how much that job, plus weren't you driving, like delivering food? I don't
Right.
know.
No,
What's
I was
it
working
called?
like 3 different jobs at the time. And on top of a full-time job. You know what I mean?
On top of taking care of
wait a
3
minute,
kids.
Let me see if I understand where this is going. You hired her as a babysitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you fell in love, and then she hired you to write mortgages for her?
Right.
Correct.
Well, as soon as I got fired for no reason, that was the other part, right? So I lost my job, and I was like, now what?
2 weeks after he moved in.
Right.
Oh, man.
And so
Wow.
she goes, well, you know what? You've been working with me and learning this stuff. I mean, you don't have to go anywhere for this. So why don't
You can
just
take
do
your
this?
own
You can-
kids to the doctor, and
Right.
you can make me breakfast and give me coffee. Let's do
It
this.
sounds like you had other intentions there.
I'm going
Man,
to tell
that's
you,
a
I
ulterior
already
motives.
know I have to watch out for Amy because it sounds like she influences about everything around her.
Listen, he's a great mortgage broker, and he's actually licensed in all 50 states.
Correct.
Whereas,
kidding.
Wow.
whereas the company that we own is only licensed in California, Colorado, and North Carolina. So if it's outside of those states, you have to work with Mikey. I help him though.
Get
so
to work
we're,
with Mikey.
You get to, because we're each other's processors, and then we have another team that processes for us as well.
That's fantastic. Well, let's back up just a little bit. We got just a couple minutes before our first break. So, Mike, you were in the Air Force?
Yes, sir.
And tell us a little bit about that and what led you to join in the Air Force.
Led me to joining, I'm not 100% sure. I still cannot look back and tell you the moment I decided to go join the Air Force. That said, I joined in 2008.
Did Amy tell you to join the Air Force?
No, I didn't know her back then.
Okay. Just making sure.
No, if I didn't, never mind. So I joined in 2008 and then got out in 2016. I was stationed at Moody Air Force Base, Georgia, the whole time, as far as like my home station goes. And then 2 tours over to Africa and Djibouti. Flying out of Camp
Djibouti,
Lemonnier there.
Africa.
Yep.
Wow.
And then one other time at the United Arab Emirates at El Dhafra Air Base there. So that was a security detail. It wasn't even me doing my job. So
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And Amy, how about yourself? You were in the
I'm
service?
an Army brat.
Okay.
My dad served in the Army, and most of my uncles served in either the Army or the Air Force. And then I have most of my cousins served in the Air Force.
Okay. Well, and so I've just got to ask, which one's smarter?
Oh, no.
I love everybody that has put their life on the line
She's
to
a
keep
politician,
me and
too.
my
No kidding.
family safe, but I mean that wholeheartedly. If you read our reviews, 99% of them are military, and I genuinely get a high off of handing them their keys or refinance, and I save them money.
Oh,
That's
that is really,
amazing.
That is
yeah,
really
in
awesome.
2022, literally the numbers added up. 99% of our loans were VA loans.
Wow.
We did over 100.
So you pretty much kind of specialize in that.
100%.
Well, it's our circle. They're our friends. You know what I mean?
So you're writing mortgages for all your friends and
Family members.
Family members?
It's a blessing because I own the company. So if they're in California, Colorado, North Carolina, I can be really creative.
well, that's amazing. But we're going to have to hear a little bit more about that after our break. Man, I'm all tongue-tied. So if you want to hear a little bit about the VA mortgage world and how some of that stuff works, come back and listen to Putting the Pieces Back Together with Fox Mortgage today. Welcome back to Putting the Pieces Back Together live. Well, I guess it's not live anymore.
It's not live.
It's pre-recorded now. Something about
You're alive.
I am alive. They
Our
got,
guests are alive.
yeah.
For now.
I didn't check their pulses or anything, but I can make an assumption.
That's probably pretty smart.
That's it. Yeah, they asked me not to do that anymore. Is that an HR thing? I don't know.
Yeah, Devin, that would be an HR thing.
Well, if you're just joining us, we are here with the Fox Mortgage team, Amy and Mike, and they were just talking to us about how you should get no other loan than a VA loan if you qualify.
Yeah, I think the way I would put it and the way I've been come to understand how to use this the best way is if you have any kind of a disability rating, 10% or more, there's really zero reason to not get a VA loan. It just doesn't make any sense because the only reason would be is if you just wanted to buy a total piece of crap or you're buying like an investment or a second home or something like that. You can't buy those with the VA home loan, but
Do you have to have a VA disability rating in order to qualify for VA loan?
absolutely not.
No, what it does is it exempts you from the funding fee. So like an FHA loan, you have that extra payment. They call it PMI or MI. For VAs, it's called the VA funding fee, and it's included in your guys' loan for the rest of on the civilian side. That same type of loan, it's an extra payment. So when you have a disability rating, they exempt you from that, which saves you 25% right off the top. So
Holy smokes.
the other coolest part, and the part that jazzes me up the most about a VA loan, is if a person becomes unemployed, they can do an interest rate reduction loan, which will let them skip 2 house payments. It will give them their escrow check back, because you have to create a new escrow for them. So a lot of times it's almost like doing a small cash out, because depending on what your house payment is, we did our own math. If we did it on the house in Colorado, there's so much equity in that house. If we did it on that house, we would, just doing the loan to get the interest rate lower, it would literally give us over $11,000 at closing, because I'm skipping 2 payments and I'm getting my escrow check back.
Wow, that is tremendous.
Right.
Mike, sounds like you might need to look out. You might be getting fired.
It wouldn't be the first time. You know what I mean? Probably won't be the last.
As long as she keeps rehiring you.
That's right. That's right.
He's my favorite employee.
It's really great what you guys are doing. And certainly I've done, several VA loans myself. Great product. But I think there's another, advantage that I've seen, having, worked in construction and real estate, throughout my life, with using many different lenders, with many different fee structures. The VA fee structure is fixed. They regulate how much an attorney can charge for closing costs, all the way down through the loan. And so I think that's also something that's beneficial for the veteran community, that it's it levels the playing field a little bit for everybody.
100%.
The other cool thing that just launched today, and I'm sure you two own a home, so you have heard of what's called an appraisal waiver, where that's the desktop underwriter. So it's an automated system that you put somebody's loan in, and it spits out, this property qualifies for an appraisal waiver. They just started today title waivers. So
wow.
I was like, praise God, this is a miracle, because this is where someone's already paid 7 months prior. They buy this house, right? Title charges them $6,000. That's actually what we paid for title when we bought our house in North Carolina. They charged us $6,700. Right.
That was fun.
It was a lot. Something that we weren't used to.
$6,700.
Yeah, something that we weren't used to, because Colorado, a lot of the title companies or escrow companies, they have a bundle. So you pay 2 fees. You pay the settlement fee and the lender's title insurance fee. But that's it. They don't nickel and dime you for everything. And they nickeled and dimed us. Anyways, as of today, they're now handing out, if the property qualifies, you could get a title waiver.
And so for our listening audience that's not familiar with the process to purchase a home, the title insurance and the title fee is associated with the research for the property to ensure that the legal description matches what you're actually purchasing. There's and that somewhere along the line, somebody didn't have the house stolen from them, but there was proper transfer from owner 1 to owner 2 to owner 3, eventually to the person that is purchasing it, which will be owner 4. And so after that's been done 4 or 5 times, you really may not necessarily need to do that again, especially if you're just refinancing the house.
Right.
And so that's a huge win and savings, particularly for the veterans that are living, most of which on a fixed income.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's
So
really
you looking for a
great.
job? You explain that beautifully.
Well, technically, no, I'm not looking for a job. And officially, for my boss, in case he's watching, no, I'm not looking for a job.
Yeah, that's funny.
You just did a good job of explaining that.
And if you are, does that mean CEO of Purple Heart Homes is open? Should I get my resume ready? Or
I was kidding.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
Well, then I guess we'll get back to her.
No. Yeah, let's get back to our regularly scheduled programming, Devin. So in the process of this, you've been doing this now for 3 years. You come out of the service, have a family connection and long-serving family service. I'm just curious, what has been the most meaningful and impactful mortgage that you provided to a veteran, and how did that impact you guys?
Oh, we actually have a lot. He got the privilege to literally, these people, this family, they PCS to Colorado Springs, and there was no base housing. And they had a special needs little girl and another little girl, 2 dogs.
They were staying in a hotel. Literally.
They were in a hotel, and it was oofta. And so because of our certification through Veterans Affairs, at least that's what I understand, one of the benefits of getting that cert. We were able to get this gentleman from start to finish, finding a house, getting the contract in. He hadn't even paid the earnest money. He ended up not having it. Right. And we worked it out with the sellers and the buyer's agent, where they covered it.
Wow.
So
that one was fun, because that one it was a
7
point
days.
that he got to where he said, wait, I have to have how much money when I come to the close? Mm-hmm. And I was like $2,000 something. He's like, I don't have that. I said, well, I don't know what the heck we're going to do. I said, what do you call it on an Army base where you have like a resource center or something like that? I can't remember on post.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't think of it off the top of my head now either.
Right. So I said, here, you need to go over to this place. At the time, I knew what the heck it was called.
That's because of the lieutenant from the Army guy.
That's because I had to use that stuff when I was in.
Well, there's
so
that.
I go down there. I looked it up, found the office, sent Cody over there. Cody goes ahead and figures it out. They said, oh, this is to buy a home. This is an emergency. They got like an emergency, fund loan kind of thing.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And but without it being a loan. And so they gave him $2,700. That said, he also went ahead and he pulled out of his ESP at the same time. We didn't think that was going to make it to his bank account by the time closing came around, right? And so then that came in. So now he's sitting pretty, able to actually get in the house and have a little bit of money to take care of some things once he got in there. It was incredible.
Wow, that's amazing.
Great.
Right.
And we did it. Hang on.
What
TSP?
Yeah.
It's a thrift savings plan. So that's a
thrift
new
savings plan.
It's like a new 401k thing for the military.
Bright. You gotta break things down for me.
They just started that thing when I was leaving. So I mean, it's pretty new, Yeah.
So in the process of all of this, you're seeing these veterans have help, and be able to, in my words, realize the American dream, mm-hmm. right? And a mortgage is a big part of that, right? That
it certainly is.
I won't say you can't. I don't know very many people that have owned a home that they didn't have a mortgage, at least at some point, right?
Usually.
So you're kind of that gateway. But as a veteran, you're seeing this as the the Army brat that has grown up and realized the struggles and the mm-hmm. challenges of military life, and seeing that hey, I can have its impact. How is that? What has that done for you? I see the excitement, but explain that for our listeners.
For me and my family, it literally, we're just continuing to be other-centered and continuing to help and give. My dad, before he passed away, he literally said, continue to help the veterans because nobody else is going to.
Wow.
Pray with them, help them, do all the things that you can control to help a local veteran because they get taken advantage of the most. I never understood that the most until I met Mike.
Yeah, it's been a big deal. Just even me owning a home. I bought a house just when we moved out here. That was the first house I ever bought. It definitely makes you feel like you've actually got something to offer, something to hold, you know what I mean? Something precious there.
Absolutely.
Which kind of gives you a little bit of extra something to just fuel to run on, of course. That said, for any of the actual veterans out there, like be careful when you're talking to anybody about your finances, right? Especially mm-hmm. if you're looking to borrow money, because you can just get really screwed pretty bad out there. The VA has done a really cool and good job of putting together the buyer's handbook. So if you actually look in the veteran buyer's handbook, I was going through it before we came over here, trying to pick out, what's the most important? The whole book's important. So top to bottom, it'll tell you about the whole process and how not to let somebody take advantage of you.
Well, that's really great, Mike. And I think that is the key, is not being taken advantage of. And we're coming up on a break here, and so I want to really dive in a little bit more to some of these pieces and some of the elements that we've just touched on. But while we're on a break, I'm going to see if I can talk Devin into letting me hold a few dollars. And so just stay tuned, and we will be right back to hear more of Putting the Pieces Back Together.
You still owe me like $7.
All right, we are back here with Fox Mortgage Team with Mike and Amy, and you guys just phenomenal. I love your heart. I love what you're doing. Just this heart of service and the passion to help the veteran community, a family history of military service. And, I want to just kind of touch on one of the things that I think is really important for the listeners to learn and really grab a hold of, especially those that may not own a home. Really the home, while it provides you this safety and security and it's your sanctuary in so many places, it's now been proven that it's the key to generational wealth, right? That it's the largest asset that most people are going to purchase in their life. And it's so important. And you guys are helping do so much more than just provide access to funding to be able to purchase a home, right? You're setting up families for generations of success. And
there's two things that just came up that we were talking about recently that play right into that. Number one, if you're active duty and you're PCSing, you know what I mean? You're moving around the country, buy a house everywhere you go. You can keep using your VA entitlement. It just keeps going and going. Now, at a certain point, depending on how many you have out, whatever, you end up having to pay a little bit more up front when you get somewhere. But what are you doing? You're collecting houses and you're collecting income, right? Because you're going to rent that out and you're going to start making just mailbox money, right? Just keep it flowing. That way you're set up when do you get out. Now, that said, what's an even better way to do it than just buying a house, but then to buy maybe 4 in one building, like a little townhome thing, and live there and let the other 3 people pay your mortgage.
If you have full
and make you money.
If you have full entitlement, you've never purchased a home, and let's say you're doing a job that pays you a lot of money, and you haven't bought a house yet, because you have insufficient credit. Okay, let's say you haven't had a credit card or whatever. There's an easy way to overcome credit. Okay, whether you have bad credit, you don't have any credit. If you trust somebody and they have good credit and they pay their bills, have them put you as an authorized user on one of their credit cards.
Tell them to keep the card.
Don't ask for the card. You're not trying to create more debt for them. You're asking them to share their credit score with you, because by doing this, it will increase your credit score because now you have something positive showing up. But if you don't have any credit, you get their highest middle credit score. And now you can go purchase your own home.
Wow.
Takes 30 days.
That's great
That's
advice.
a really, really neat little trick. I got to say, as long as I've been helping people with increasing their credit, I've never heard of that one. That's
a pro tip, sweetheart.
John,
That's a
can
pro
I,
tip.
get on that credit
I
card?
like that.
You want to let me?
I think I'm still waiting for that $7.
Oh.
You probably never heard of it because there's not a lot of people willing to go, oh, yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Listen, you want another pro tip?
Well, I mean, you hear about co-signing, right?
Right.
Having somebody co-sign for you to get credit, right?
Right.
But I've never heard of it kind of inverse of putting the person needing to improve their credit getting put on somebody else's credit card.
It's really great.
I
as
took
a
Mike
user.
from do you care if I share?
No, go ahead.
When we first met,
You want to talk about,
I'm not going to scroll.
Trash to treasure.
I'm not stop it. I'm not going to scroll. Anyways, I was trying to help him and his family get prepared to purchase their first home. When I found out that this lovely veteran did not own the home that I was watching his kids in, I wanted to help. I went into, let me help you. It's an Amy thing. And anyways, I said, let me just pull your credit. And wow, was I shocked. I said some really not nice things, made an accusation, and then I said, okay, tell me about what I'm looking at, because all of this is derogatory. You have a credit score of 440. That's something I've never seen before in the 3.5 years I've been doing this. And when we sat down, we realized that during his deployments, he had been a victim of identity theft and he had never received a notice. And so he had no idea that all these things were even on his credit report. So a lot of phone calls, a lot of disputing. And he bought his first home at 36 in October 2023, right here in Mooresville, North Carolina. So it does work. You don't need to purchase, you don't need to pay a company. Your persistence, pick up the phone. If it's a charge off or it's in collections, call them. Hey, I'd like to have a discount, please. If they're willing to give you a discount and it's not enough, I can't afford that. Can you please give me more of a discount? My personal situation looks like this. 9 times out of 10, they will give you an extra discount on top of the discount that they've already done. If you can pay it off on a collections, ask for a payment plan. You want them to change how they're reporting to the credit bureau as paid as agreed. So if you, versus just paying it off. You know what I mean?
That's a big deal.
There's another pro tip, but I did it for Mike, and a year and a half later, we bought a house here, and we got to use he's exempt from the. Sorry. Anyways, we got all the things with his VA loan.
All the things.
That's great.
It was great, and I was like, I'm not worried about you losing your job because we can refinance it again.
You know, and I think so many people out there, they go at it on the surface. They take the first no. They won't put the time into it. They won't stay on hold, right? And you have to be aggressive with it, right? You have to not to be demanding, right? But you have to stay the course and be aggressive with it. And I think a lot of people too, they miss the boat in the sense that a credit score is not a definition of who you are. It's something that you have to manage, right? And you have to constantly be watching it. And I think there's so many folks that they just have no clue what their credit score is, or to your point, what is on your credit report.
I'm telling you, we tell all of our clients, download the Experian app. It's free. You can also pay to, I don't know what they do, but when you pay for it, because I do, for him especially, it allows you to lock it, which is cool. And it allows you to see the other 2 bureaus. So it's worth, in my opinion, what we were trying to do is worth it. So we monitored through Experian during us trying to buy a house in North Carolina. I need to see everything that was on it, you know?
When you say that it allows you to lock it, what does that mean, lock it?
So by locking your credit, so I'm grateful that we do it, but you can do it through the app or online. You can lock it. And so when someone's trying to pull your credit, if you didn't authorize it, well, 1, you get a notification. 2, it doesn't let it doesn't let it go through. And 3, by getting the notification, then you can start putting everything on pause. That's when you start making phone calls, because it means that your identity, someone's trying to steal it. So we did that for Mikey, and I have actually had my stuff compromised more than he has since we did it, which is hysterical. But mine's always locked. So. Because I want to control it. If I'm not pulling it, I didn't give you permission to use my social security number. Period.
Great tip. It's a couple of quick questions here. I want to kind of back up a little bit and talk just a little bit about your service in the Air Force. Sure. What did you do in the Air Force, and what was that experience like for you?
It was interesting, fun.
You had a cool job.
I was an aircraft loadmaster on C-130s. I was fortunate enough to be a part of the rescue community. And so with that, there's technically 3 active duty bases for that. One of them being a training unit though. So anyways, you got Moody Air Force Base, and then out in Tucson, Davis-Monthan. So I was at Moody the whole time. Went to Africa a couple times. That was interesting. Also a whole nother experience. Went to the UAE as well. Did go off base one time there. That was a whole nother experience too, because that was it was Al Dhafra, right? So it's Abu Dhabi, which is Dubai Light, kind of, which is something else to say.
Pretty interesting to be at.
Yep. Anyways, other than that though, did a lot of kind of just bouncing around the country doing different training and whatnot with that. So I had a really awkward, weird way out when I did leave, because basically I had the commander at the time went out of his way to go ahead and make sure that administratively there was no promotion going to happen. And then I was going to end up tenuring out, right? Now, at the time, I wasn't looking at it through that lens necessarily. I was just like, dang it. So now here I am at 8 years and I got to go because they won't let me go get a different job. They won't let me do anything else. And I'm like, son of a bee. But anyways, as I get out, I was kind of ashamed. And I didn't talk to a lot of the guys I had worked with for a couple of years. You know what I mean? Ended up meeting up with same buddy or one of my old supervisors out in Las Vegas about a year and a half ago. And he told me exactly that is what happened. And they've changed a lot of rules and what the commanders are allowed to do or not do because of that. So.
And, you know, that's happened to a lot of folks that they're in the military. Their job, things shift and change, and they just have to leave for reasons they didn't want to. They maybe planned on doing that their whole life.
Right.
But and we're going to hear a little bit more about your story when we come back after this break. Welcome back to Putting the Pieces Back Together with your hosts, John Gallina and me, Devil Dog Devin, because they're scraping the bottom of the barrel these days. But if you've missed any part of this broadcast, you can catch us on YouTube, Facebook, X, all the places. So go back, listen to it. It's a great show because we've had the Fox Mortgage team on here with us today, and they've been telling us their experiences with helping veterans out with VA loans, and we're just going to continue that conversation right now. Well,
so you were telling us just a few moments ago about your time in the service, some of your job, the transition, and certainly the transition out of the military is different for everybody, right? I mean, it's, and some struggle more or less than others. You know, and I always find it interesting too. There's some like yourself that after maybe 8 years, that transition is not ideal. And it becomes a difficult transition. Others, they can spend 20 years in and have lost their identity outside of the uniform. And so, you know, there's these competing issues, but it really looks like you've settled in well to the civilian life and kind of found your pathway. And, you know, after Amy did a full background check, criminal background,
she might as well have.
credit score, you know, interviewed all your kids, then decided to hire you and then marry you and employ you. That's great.
Listen, the reality is when he said when we were going to Las Vegas, we were going there for a mortgage convention. And he said, we're going to meet up with one of my old supervisors. But in my brain, he doesn't even know it. But in my brain, I was so grateful because of what I do and just my moral compass and all the things. Like I had invited him in my life, but I didn't know a lot about him. And and I was changing my own life very dramatically by having him and his children there. And so when the gentleman confirmed that Mike wasn't just a garbage.
Degenerate.
Yes, thank you. Right. That he actually, well, because I went through his full file because he had never opened them. It was like a treasure box of information. I'm a nerd, and just with my background and stuff, I went through, and it was just like, wow, you were really harassed. Like, this is awful. Like, and they didn't do anything. And this gentleman confirmed that they actually changed a whole bunch of rules because they didn't just do that to him back in 2016. They did it across the whole military, all branches. That's so if you were dismissed in those years, it was calculated.
Yeah. You know, it's and the military itself is a business. I mean, a lot of people don't see it that way, but you know, it really is. And you get all types, and it's great. It's a great, you know, organization as a whole, but it's not perfect, right? And
believe me, I'm not bitter about any of it. I wouldn't trade any of it for the world. You know what I mean? Same. Truly, it was just time to go.
Yeah, that's right.
I just didn't know it, so I was told it so.
Yeah. So, Amy, you spent some time as a hospital administrator.
Yeah.
And so what was that like?
Oh, it was hard.
I would imagine so. It sounds like you got a lot of compassion, a lot of heart for people and taking care of people. And there's a lot of need in a hospital. And so tell us a little about that.
Yeah, I did that a lot. I did that for a long time, actually, from 2001 until 2010 when I left, actually.
You were living in Ohio then?
I lived in Ohio, and I worked with a group of physicians, and we were inpatient care physician group. And my job was just to make sure that the doctors were where they were supposed to go and helping where they could. I helped with codes and procedures, and it was a lot. And I was gracious enough that my dad, having the influence that he did at the time, he helped me get a job in sales. Who knew? And I rocked that. And I did that at Nestle USA for a very long time until this. literally that refinance of my own home and seeing how much I paid to get that 2.99% interest rate, just again, it invoked a feeling that I asked the gentleman for a job, and I worked with that gentleman for 4 months, and an account executive said, "Hey, you know what you did?" And I was like, "No, did I mess something up?" You know what I mean? And he said, "No." He said, "You have helped 66 veterans in 4 months." And I said, "Okay, I understood the rules, whereas the other programs are difficult, more difficult than the VA in my perception." Okay. And I was like, "Okay." And he said, "You ever thought about starting your own mortgage company?" And I went, "Ed, I don't know what I'm doing." I said, "No, I'm just here helping people do loans." And he said, "All you have to do is post on your Facebook that you're doing something and this is what you're doing, and people come to you and they let you help them." He said, "Amy," he said, "you do it right and you do it the right way. Let us help you start your own brokerage." And that is how the Fox Mortgage Team LLC came alive.
No kidding.
No joke. Yep.
So what's the background behind the name, the Fox Mortgage?
Just going to ask that question.
That's actually, if you think about her last name, so Vos is the last part of that there is Belgian for fox. And her ex-husband, being a Belgian, was sitting there like, "Well, what are we going to call it?" She says, "I don't know. What are we going to do?" He goes, "Oh, call it Fox Mortgage. You're the fox. It would be Fox Mortgage Team."
He's a character.
Stuck with him.
He has a great sense of humor.
Yeah, it works.
So is your theme song Foxy Lady?
I should
No,
be, though.
but it should be. See, that's awesome. You got to play that for them.
Right.
Maybe we can get old Joshua
Wayne's
Ray
World in
Hudson
here?
in here to play it on the
Come in here
guitar.
and pick it for us. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a new guitar there. I really like your logo. For those of you who can't see that on the radio, it's a fox kind of wrapped
Funny, I'm
around
sitting here
my
trying
house.
to show people on the radio my shirt. It's
Yeah,
hysterical.
well, the people on the social media, they can see it, and if you want to see it,
My
you should
ex-husband
check it
made
out.
that.
Did he really?
He literally, I told, again, him and Mike, and they are friends, by the way. We all lived under the same house together for almost a whole year. We literally just all get along. But yeah, he made this off of, I told him what I was thinking. And then when he designed it, I went, "No, that has to be fixed," or whatever. And he was able to actually create what had in my head. So yeah.
That's really cool.
I love the fox too.
I want to touch base on a kind of another segment here about a VA mortgage. I recently had a veteran contact me and I asked, "Can you use a VA mortgage to purchase land and build a house?" What is the process for that?
It's actually almost the exact same as a regular mortgage loan.
Okay.
We can do, they call it a one-time close construction loan. And it was born, of course, in conventional world, but VA has picked it up. It's very cool. You literally apply for the loan just like you normally would. Now there's one extra part. You're having your credit underwritten, and this whole transaction is being looked at by the lender themselves. They also have then a third party who underwrites your project. So you have to come up with all the stuff. So you have to go, okay, I need a general contractor, and then I need all these things, and I need all the quotes, and I need all the numbers, and all this, and all the material. All this stuff has to add up underneath an assumed appraised number, right? So if you're trying to buy, or I had a cousin, they bought a place, right? And this thing, they already spent $500,000 on the land alone. Now you can do a one-time close construction refinance, which is just building the house on the land you already own. They had so much in the loan on the land, couldn't qualify them for anything. You know what I mean? So I also have another couple out in Tennessee. They just did it. Land, construction, all at once, seamless. So
Right. You have to literally work with somebody that knows what they're doing, which the people in Tennessee, they worked with Mike to buy the land. So we did it a specific way. So they didn't pay too much.
So you're suggesting that before you go and buy a piece of land and start a project, you go talk to the mortgage broker first and get them involved from the beginning when you make that land purchase.
Well, if you think about it, anytime you're going to do anything in the world, right? What's the first person you're supposed to talk to? Your money guy. The money guy starts it all, right? Now, I don't have all the money, and it's not in my pockets. We just know how to get it. Fair enough.
If it is,
and we can help you
shake
get
you
there.
down.
You can shake me down anyways. I'm down.
I'll
Be careful.
hold him.
He already owes me $7.
You owe me the $7.
Remember, they're already in for
hysterical.
$7 over
Right.
there. No, the coolest part though is literally a lot of this is the information is available online. So, and now with this whole AI chat thing, which is really cool. We actually have it for our stuff, so we can spit out. Mortgage brokers, not banks, but mortgage brokers has access to everything that we're talking about. Okay, so we're not saying come work with us, although we're happy to help, but just talk to a broker. If you work with a broker, you will save over $11,000 out the gates off of any type of transaction, because most times they don't have the overhead. Okay.
Yeah, a couple of just quick points on that I think is really important for the listening audience to understand. There is a difference between a mortgage broker and a traditional bank. And the biggest difference is a mortgage broker does not have deposit accounts, right? And basically you can go to any potential funding source or underwriter to be able to sell that mortgage to at whatever the qualifications that they're looking for, right? Whatever their parameters that they're looking for. And so where a lot of people might get turned away from a traditional bank, a mortgage broker can provide them a mortgage still. 100%. And so one of the things that you mentioned too, Mike, is that I think is really important is, a lot of folks, when they think about buying a house, the first person they oftentimes think about is going to a realtor, right?
Right.
And I always tell people that you need to go find your mortgage broker. Second, you need to find your attorney. Then you go find your realtor, right? Because when you have somebody that's willing to lend you the money and you have the attorney to protect your interest, now you're ready to go to market and actually make that purchase. And so it really takes all three of those, partners to be able to help support you to have a successful closing and own your own home.
Right.
Can I share something real quick? So remember we talked about that title company in Colorado who did the bundle? Mm-hmm. There's one law office here in North Carolina that actually does the same thing. So
that we found so far.
Am I allowed to say it?
Sure. We got about 30 seconds.
Hutchins Law Firm, and they're located in North Carolina. They do a bundle for purchases and refinances, saving the borrower over $1,100 per transaction.
Wow,
so
that's
we're gonna
huge.
put a pin in it right there, but we're gonna do some special behind the scenes outtakes with you guys. And so if you're watching on social media, be sure to tune in so that you can get some more tidbits from the Fox Mortgage team. And you have been listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes with Devil Dog Devin.
Hoorah.
And myself, John Gallina. No, hoorah?
Hoorah!
Oh, that's much better. And by the way, Devin, happy late birthday.
Well, thank you.